Hi everyone, this is Dr. Kristen White, clinical psychologist and mom of three, and this is the Mom Degree, where we provide support and tools to help women feel less crazy and be more effective in their role as moms. So if you're following along, we're in a series right now on shaping our kids' behavior. How do we turn them into good people that, have values and are kind and all of these kinds of things? So we've talked the last couple weeks about ways we do this positively by giving them our attention, by rewarding them, even using behavioral charts to do that. And we are going to shift probably in the next video into some of the more negative, the timeouts, spankings, taking things away. I'm going to talk about those. But before we do, I want to take a break in this video and talk about a really important piece of our attitude that we need to have in using these tools. This applies to all of them, the positive attention and negative, but I think it's especially important to really grasp before we go into the negative attention, because these are powerful tools you guys are wielding with your kids, and I want you to wield them well. And in order to do that, this isn't, as I said before, this isn't a cookie cutter, like, oh, your kid is hitting, so you do this, right? Because to really understand, we need to go deeper to really ask ourselves the question, why? Why is this happening? And I got even harder news. We have to ask these questions of our kids. Why are they acting this way? Why are they doing this? Why is this happening for them? But we also need to ask it of ourselves. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I reacting this way? What of my stuff is going into this situation? And all the best tools in the world are going to break down and be ineffective if we're not really looking at this deeper level of really why these things are happening, okay? So we are going to use the tools, but I want to preface it with this why conversation. And that's really what this video is about, but I'm going to give you some examples to try to model it, okay? And I'm hoping this helps sort of put some flesh and bones on it and make sense of it so that you can apply it to your kids and your situations, whatever their age. So I'm going to start with the harder one, okay? Because it's more present for me right now. The why, what is happening to me? What am I bringing to this situation? All right. So my oldest, my daughter, I took her on a date on Saturday. She's been kind of needy this week. She definitely seemed like she needed more mom time. She had a harder time with drop off at school, blah, blah, blah. So not easy with three kids, three little ones, but I took her alone on a date this weekend. We had a great time, came back. Things were fine. Good day. I put him to bed, which I always ask him at the end of the day, what did you like about today? What was hard? So I asked her those, and I said, how'd you like our date with mommy? Thinking she's going to say, oh, it was awesome, right? I love being out with mommy. I took her for her first manicure, which I didn't think I would do this age, but that's a whole nother story. And I figured she's going to be stoked because she's always asking to put on makeup and paint nails. She's already that girl, even though I don't even think I'm that girly. Anyways, so I took her out. So I asked her, how was the date? Thinking she's going to be totally excited. And she says, I said, did you have fun? No. I'm like, what? You didn't like it? This is not the answer I was expecting. Sorry, I'm spilling drinks. And why not? Well, after we went and got our manicures, I took her someplace else and she saw, she actually didn't see. I think I saw a roach and told her this. She didn't even see it. But she tells me she didn't like our date because this bug was there and it was gross. Okay. I have to admit, I was really, really triggered. That's probably the best word to use. Inside, I'm flooded emotionally, right? Remember we have talked about your blood? There's no blood anymore in the front of my brain. I'm totally triggered. I'm totally flooded. I stayed calm, which is a victory. I did not freak out, but I think I was a little tough on my 4-year-old who's learning gratitude and apparently really needs to work on that. And I told her that she hurt my feelings, which is okay, but I was sort of repetitive about it because I wasn't getting the response I wanted. And I don't think I was super skillful in how I handled that. So I had to take a step back and really sit there and okay, yes, this was not a good response for my 4-year-old. She can have her opinions and preferences, bless her, I want those. But I would like also to see some gratitude when people do things that are nice for her. I would like her also to be able to focus on the positive. Here we were out for an hour and a half and all she could see was this one negative. So there are some growth areas for her there, but I don't think I was very skillful in responding. And so I had to stop and ask, why? For me, what was happening for me, right? She's got her own stuff happening we need to look at, but for me, okay? So honestly, I felt in that moment I can't win. I've been dealing with this needy little girl all week. This, by the way, is the second time this has happened. This happened last time I took her on a date a couple months ago too. In the driveway, in the car, she's like already like, but I wanted to go here. And I was, yeah. So this is the second time this has happened. And I'm like, I can't win like this. I'm trying to raise 3 kids. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to do all these things. And I feel like, woohoo, I did something good, right? I took my daughter on a date and she didn't like it. I can't win. And I was totally triggered. So you guys, the first thing I had to do before I could at all think clearly about her, because there's no blood up here, right? I'm triggered. I had to stop and think about my own stuff. I'm still processing it, but stop and realize what was I feeling? Why was my reaction so intense? A lot of times these are the moments we're going to fly off the handle and yell. I've done that too. This thankfully wasn't that unskillful, but I've had those, right? And it's often when our kids do something like I notice with my son, I will sometimes have a much too intense, even yelling reaction if he hits his baby sister when it scares me. When I think he's going to hurt her, I'm like, no, right? That doesn't help him. Now he's freaked out too. But my point is we have to look deeper at the why. What is going on for me? I need to calm and soothe myself and deal with that before I'm going to be able to think and respond clearly and come back around to what my kid needs, right? So if you guys are trapped in a cycle or you've had moments where it's not working, that's the first question you need to ask. Is there something going on for me? What is it? How do I process that? How do I soothe it? How do I grow through it? Where do I need to acknowledge it? What do I need to do with these feelings to work on me so that I can effectively think about and relate to my kid, right? Because I can't manage the situation with her until I've calmed and dealt with me, okay? That's number one question of the why. Why? What is happening for me? We also need to ask that for our child. What is actually happening for them? For her in this moment, I don't know. Actually, I need to still play with that. But I think maybe she's just playing with different stories. She's just focusing on different things. She does have some growth areas. I'm still playing with that. Let me give you a better example of the kid, though. I kind of alluded to this before. But I was, when she was like 2.5 and my son was maybe about 8 months and I was sleep training him and it would take forever and he would scream and I'd just be in his room trying to soothe him, but like not picking him up. And I would try, I tried to let her watch extra TV for this season. I think we even bought an iPad and like tried to let her do that and that helped, but she'd still come into the room and forget it then. She'd come into the room. It would like interrupt everything. I would freak out. I would definitely yell. Those were very unskillful moments. This was like one of the hardest seasons of parenting for me ever. I do not like sleep training. Anyways, so I would freak out and I had to stop and ask, okay, what's going on for me? Like I'm feeling powerless. I'm feeling lost. I don't know how to make this work. I have to soothe and I have to deal with that. But then I also had to talk with her and I didn't know what was going on for her. So I asked her and we sat down and had a conversation. This is a big part of the why. You might actually have to talk with your kids and listen, right? So much when we talk with our kids and when we discipline, we want to explain, we want to lecture, we want to tell them what they did wrong, we want to tell them how they should do it differently. And if you hear nothing else this video, hear this. You have to learn and discipline if it's going to be effective to listen as well. I'm not a genius at this either, but I know it's necessary. So when I finally, after like days and days and probably weeks of this, asked her, what is going on? Why do you keep coming in a calm moment? It's got to be calm. She said, I'm lonely. Oh my God, break my heart. My 2.5-year-old is telling me that she's lonely and that's why she keeps coming in. Okay, first of all, that's just heartbreaking and I need to deal with that. And I don't want to yell at her when she's coming to see me because she's lonely, even though she's totally interrupting and that's the last thing I need from her. But it also, okay, then how can we solve this? Your mommy needs this time with your brother, but maybe we can have a little extra time before or after, just she and I. And all we did is we took a little chair and we put it right in the hallway outside the room. So her brother couldn't see her. He wasn't disturbed by, wanting to play with her. But she could hear us and she felt close to us and she could tolerate that, right? The solution to this behavior problem of her coming in when I kept telling her not to was just to listen and have her brainstorm with me, to understand the why. Why is it that she's coming in? Is she just being like, I feel in that moment when I'm like, oh my God, I've been listening to this kid scream for an hour and my daughter just screwed it up. Like, she just is being a brat and she's coming in. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to say that, but we think these things as moms, and really she's not. She's lonely. And so the solution isn't more toys. It isn't more anything. It's helping her find a way to feel more connected with me, right? I mean, if we had to, maybe even getting someone in the house for her, if that's an option. But you guys know as moms, that's not always an option either. Okay, so that's what I want you guys to hear in this video. In order to wield these tools well, when things aren't working, we gotta stop and understand and ask the why questions. Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? And why is this happening to my kid? And seriously, even as soon as they can talk, you can ask them. They may not know. You may have to throw out like, hey, was this a piece of it? Was this a piece of it? But you'd be surprised when you're both calm what they can come up with. So I want you guys to ask the why. That is your mom challenge this week. Whatever situation, behavior that you're working on in these videos with your child, I want you to stop and ask the why. Is there something in you that's being triggered that needs to be dealt with? And is there something in your child that maybe the behavior is coming out and the behavioral modification stuff isn't working, the shaping's not working because we're not properly addressing this why. With my son and the 2-year-old now, and his hitting and kicking and everything just all the time, when I stop and ask the why, even of myself, I can see that he's a 2-year-old boy. He's got all this crazy pent-up energy. So first of all, some of the why is he needs to get out more, right? That's part of the why, is he's not getting enough outlets, and I need to address that separately in order to decrease the behavior. But the other why is he's 2.5. He doesn't know what to do, so he gets excited, he hits. He gets angry, he kicks, right? It's a question of emotional regulation. I'm asking my 2-year-old to properly regulate and express his emotions. You guys, like, a lot of adults can't do that. So that's a big thing to ask of my 2-year-old. Yes, I'm still going to ask it and I'm still going to work on him with it, but that's going to shape how I impact his behavior. And I'll show you when we get to timeouts and stuff, I'll show you how asking this why impacts the way I implement these tools and the way I use them. Even going back to the positive stuff, knowing he's working on emotional regulation, I'm going to look for times when I see him getting triggered. And first of all, if he does it well, I'm going to praise the heck out of it. And if I catch it in that moment just before he hits or kicks, I'm going to jump in. Hey, I see this happening. Good job that you haven't hit or kicked yet. What can we do? You're angry because your sister's in the way. Let's not hit her. You're just going to get put in timeout. What can you do instead? And I can help him answer that question. So if we understand the whys a little bit, it will help us use these tools well. Okay? All right. I'm like over time. This is a hard one. Go ask this why. Post your questions. This is a pretty heady thing. Tell me what's not clear about this. How can I help? Where are you stuck? Let's brainstorm together and let me know what you come up with. All right. Thanks, guys. Next week, we'll talk about these other tools. But today, ask the whys. Much love and many blessings. Until next time on The Mom Degree.